news. This is actually quite exciting news. This actually makes me proud. Now, Angela Simons, she's a liberal. Coulter Simmons, he's an NDP, and Archie Beals, he is from the PC Conservative Party. They are all from North Preston, and they are all being part of the election in Nova Scotia. So, the largest Black community in Nova Scotia, uh, for the first time, doesn't matter what party, nope, doesn't matter what party, the MLA of a Black community is going to be Black. They were represented by white MLA since 1999, which is kind of crazy. That the white person was being the MLA of a Black community. But for the first time in near than 20 years, Nova Scotia's oldest and largest Black community will be represented by a Black MLA, regardless of what party wins. This is quite exciting, and again, I mean, this makes me way happier than anything that the Olympics could. But different topics, but it's long overdue. I mean, we'll start with you, Clinton. What do you think about this?
I think you really don't like the Olympics. This is the
I
fourth
I
time I've heard you say
I
that in the
hate the
past 10
Olympics.
minutes.
I They don't make any sense. They take countries and they make them poor. Why would we love the Olympics? It
We
doesn't
should
make any
burn down
sense.
the Olympics, but we shouldn't burn down society if it doesn't make any sense.
No, society, it's never gonna make any
So
sense. Even if we burn it, even if we come back up, it's still gonna not make any sense.
Okay,
But the
well,
you
I'll
know,
answer your
Olympics,
question.
I know they're about to talk about Nova Scotia, and we can spend another lesson educating me on the Olympics as the Olympic lover. But these countries, don't they nominate themselves? Like in some respect,
They
is it
do.
not the prime
They
ministers of or presidents of these countries putting themselves in this economic deficit? Like I my dream is to go and I want to do the Italy Milan one, but
Bragging
is it
rights
not
and
then the
pride,
president
right?
of Italy who's sacrificing their financial gain to throw themselves under the
Yeah,
bus?
because what
To show what a
happens,
great nation they are. Sorry,
right?
go ahead.
And sorry, the Olympic Committee, that the whole hustle of the Olympic Committee is that you guys go. It's a scam, right? It's like, okay, you guys go ahead and we'll bring our branding to your country. You pay for the infrastructure to our specs. And because it's our event and branding, people are going to show up and pay money, and you'll make all the money back that you invest in infrastructure. But that never happens. That never happens. Like, the ticket prices for Olympic events are through the roof. Local people can't afford to go, and it just ends up being a very. And then when the Olympics are done, what do you do with all the new infrastructure that you built? It just sits there and rots. So you have these countries
I,
building new coliseums, new Olympic tracks, swimming facilities, everything for literally a couple of weeks. And then after that, it just sits there because they have no plan for it in
I
the
get
future.
I get that, but
I'm sorry
don't
I
you think
brought
that
this
the
back up. Let's
no,
no,
no, but
let's
I'm
move on.
appreciating that being educated and we can move on, but like
Oh, you
it's
didn't know any of that? Okay,
I
sorry,
mean
go ahead.
I knew a lot of that, but I still like in my mind, even with that explanation, it's still so like it's if there's a history of these countries not making that money back and they know it's a false promise, stop signing up. Stop signing up.
well,
Just like what?
and I will teach you. It's a little bit more than that, because what happens is this. What happens is that the Olympic Committee has some sort of sales pitch. So they go to these countries with politicians that are either going to win elections or they are in an election transition, and they want to show, like, to boost their ego or their country. That's what's happening in Brazil. If there's actually a good documentary about that, that Dilma Rousseff was the one, and it was made under Lula da Silva, which was the first. They were both from the Workers' Party. Uh, some of these people even get bribed. The Olympic Committee even bribes people so they can do these things. Like, it's a very corrupted organization, and there's a lot of documentation about that. If we go,
Factual?
yeah, factual. Just go and get the Olympics. There's a lot of YouTube things that you can actually get there. Uh, Canada, for a fact, Montreal hosted the Olympic. I think it was in the 70s, and it only took till like 2015 or something like that they actually paid up everything from
But then we had
Olympics.
hosted in 2010, so we were back in debt as a nation from the 2010 in Vancouver.
And that's a different thing. The Winter Olympics and the Summer Olympics are the Winter Olympics are cheaper because not a lot of people play the whole thing, and
Well,
it's
good
still
thing.
they don't make any sense. But the summer ones are even worse. Like they both don't make any sense, and I'm not even sure what the Calgary thing is. I know it wasn't in Vancouver, right? It was in
Yeah,
Vancouver.
it was in
It's
Vancouver.
It was in
Vancouver.
Vancouver, and Calgary wanted to do it too, and people were like outraged, and
Yeah.
they didn't want to do it in Calgary. But yeah, there is a lot of documentation on the Olympics. There is a lot of you can YouTube a lot of stuff of the Olympics, and it's just economically doesn't make any sense. It's just a cash grab. For the only people that make sense is the Olympic Committee. They are the ones that make the money. But going back to it, let's
Yeah,
go back to
sorry.
Nova Scotia. That's okay.
So
Let's go.
Preston,
Yes, North Preston.
North Preston. So before 1999, they had black MLAs, and now it's been 20 years that they haven't, and now they're going to again. Is this did these political parties intentionally, all consciously, again because of what like Alon was saying, because of social trends, consciously put a black person forward, or is this just coincidental and there's going to be a black MLA? That's my really only question about it. It's going to be cool, it'll be good, but why did it happen?
Well, that is a good question. I mean, I basically don't know why it's been done for that long. And but again, that's kind of like the black thing in Canada. A lot of these communities, North Preston is always misrepresented, and politicians never care about Indigenous or black people. I think now it's changing a little bit, but I think it's always been that way since Canada. That's Canada, I guess. We don't have a lot of
Wouldn't say never,
representation.
but probably not often enough, right?
Yeah. I mean, we don't have. We're in New Brunswick. We don't have a. There's no indigenous representation. There only been one in the history of New Brunswick. And
Yeah.
again, indigenous people have been here for years, and they never had representation, including in their own communities. So I think that is a Canada thing. I don't think it's just a Nova Scotia thing. I think it's a Canada thing. But other than
Yeah.
that, I think either or. I definitely think it's something that it's a little bit of progress. Is it a lot of progress? Not really, but it is some progress.
Well, it's
So I don't.
good. I mean, the question is it going to happen again in 4 years, right? I mean, you'd have to go and change the constitution and democracy itself. You could argue that, the majority cultural population of a community has to have the MLA represented by that group. But then that feels sort of undemocratic, right? Or unless you have a whole other system going on, like anyone is supposed to be allowed to run, and if people elect them, they should be allowed to lead.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like people should be allowed to be elected and I think we should have somebody that to speak more about. I think we have some contacts with Canada Boats, and I think they probably Canada Black Boat, and they probably would understand why is it that a place like North Preston, which is black led, has been leading by somebody white for so long, and people that voted, and again, maybe that black people haven't gone voting. That could be one of the questions. Who knows? Hillary, what's your take on it?
Well, I think when you were introducing this topic, you said something like that it was sort of surprising, maybe was the word you used, or shocking about them not having had a black MLA for 20 years. And no, it's not. Like, white people have been telling us what to do for a very long time when they shouldn't be telling us what to do because they do not know our plight. I'm very happy that this is like hopefully a turnaround that will stick, and hopefully like Clinton was just saying, maybe like in 4 years hopefully they will continue to elect black MLAs. It's hard. I'm wondering also, is it a part of perhaps like gentrification? Was there a growing number of white people in that community and now it's changed? I don't know. I don't know a lot about politics, and I definitely do not know a lot about Nova Scotia, but I definitely think that this is good. I'm always for um people representing us who actually can properly represent minorities, people of color, queer people, etc. And like, unfortunately, to comment on like New Brunswick's history as well in that regard of like not having a lot of minorities, like, not to bring up this conversation again, but it was a bigger concern, I think, to have Acadian and French speaking people be represented bilingually in politics for New Brunswick than people of color. And I do sincerely hope that that shifts and that there is a little bit of representation politically for all groups of people in New Brunswick, whether that's Indigenous or Black or Asian or French speaking, who are any of those mixes as well.
Alon, what's your take on it?
Very limited, unfortunately. I really don't know Nova Scotia politics. I think, it's great that, they'll have representation that looks like them and hopefully speaks for them. But at the end of the day, it comes down to policy, and it comes down to what, not all brown faces are allies either, right? So, I mean, I don't know where these politicians stand. I don't know what their stances are on certain issues. I don't know whether they're actually going to properly represent the people of Preston. So I mean, I think there's a lot still to be learned about these three candidates, and I hope that the people of Preston will look at the stances of these politicians and where they stand on the issues, and not so much the fact that they're brown. Because at the end of the day, if the person's not doing anything for you, it doesn't matter what color they are, if they're not doing anything for you, then it's pointless. So that's kind of my take on it. Just, look at the politician, look at the person, look at the character, look where they stand on the policies, and, hopefully vote for the right person. But yes, it's nice to see three Black people that, that are running and that are leading their parties, and good for them. Good for them. It's about time.
Yeah, I definitely think. I think more, especially in Black communities, not only in Nova Scotia, and again, New Brunswick, PEI. I know there is a very low minority, but there. I mean, I definitely think there should be an Indigenous MLA. I don't know why there's not one, but anyways, that is a different topic. But I definitely think communities in places like Ontario and places like in the prairies, that there are Black communities with a significant amount of people to be representative. And again, not only saying that with Black, I think the Indigenous part, I think that one is more long overdue than the Black ones, because again, there doesn't make any sense why there's not more Indigenous participation in the House of Commons and in different ones. But I mean, it's good for them that there is three Black nominees, and hopefully this continues. I think that's the part that we want to make sure that it continues, and we can see this more in places that it's like the majority are minorities. Ontario does it pretty well with a lot of Desi and Sikhs and Hindu representation and Southeast Asians. They have managed to do that well in Ontario, and hopefully that happens somewhere here. So congratulations to those three people, and lady, of course, the lady that is part of the Liberal Party. Hopefully they do what they're supposed to do.